somebody's listening and they're about to go on this journey, I would forewarn them about some things that no one told me. And no one told me when I started this journey is two things. The first thing is how lonely it would be. And it doesn't have to be, but it's almost like by default. You see, when I started Airbnb, I started with my friends, two of my friends. Then we hired people. And those people, they were employees, but they were also kind of our friends. And this notion that I was the boss, and there was a power imbalance. Well, we're all like broke working at a 3-bedroom apartment. So what does it mean that I'm CEO? Like that's kind of just a title. And so I felt really connected. We weren't a family, but we were more like a family than a business if it was one or the other. And then as we got successful, then it became more of a corporation. There was a chain of command. There were more boundaries. You know, like you started hiring people that had families, and people with families don't hang out with you on nights and weekends. And then like, it's just like it becomes more formal. And that's the moment that your employees become your employees and less your friends. And that gets more and more isolating. And then people start looking at you a little bit differently, and it feels really good, but you can just find yourself working more and more to live up to the responsibility. And you feel like you're never working enough, and you're working 60 hours a week, then 80 hours a week, and 100 hours a week. And you just almost feel guilty any second you're alive and you're not working. And I'm a huge proponent in pouring your life into something. But I think that what I thought was every incremental hour would make me more productive. But it turns out that like we need to step away from work. We need to be happy. We need to have some healthy relationships to probably make good decisions. Lonely leaders are probably not the best leaders. And when you're lonely, you're probably less empathetic. Your sense of vigilance is up. You don't necessarily see problems really clearly. You don't have people to bounce ideas off of. When there's a challenge, you could feel like you're alone. You don't have as much resiliency. And so I remember going from being incredibly happy to feeling incredibly isolated, not having been prepared. Now, I was prepared for all the business challenges. People told me what it's like to scale a team, hire executives, but we weren't really well prepared for the psychological and emotional journey that we would go on. That turned out to be some incredibly intense journey. So that was the first thing. The first thing that I didn't know, no one forewarned me about, and that I've now learned is about the lonely journey it can be. And I would just tell people it doesn't have to be lonely. Keep in touch with your friends. Meet other entrepreneurs. Like you've got to almost fight. The world, as you go on this journey, is going to isolate you into a bubble that's going to completely detach you from reality. And if you're not careful, you can lose a sense of yourself. And you have to fight every single day like a person in the ocean without a life jacket, just staying above water. And that staying above water is fighting the temptations of isolation so that you can remain connected. And if you're connected, you're going to be okay. But it's not going to just happen. Most people you don't have to think about breathing. You just breathe. You have to think about staying connected. The other thing is you can't try to be successful to think it's going to solve something inside of you. Being successful, other than maybe a sense of purpose. It turns out having a purpose and serving others and being focused on something, that's generally good for you. Beyond that, no amount of status and power is going to fill something inside of you. Whatever is inside of you that you're missing, you need to probably fill, through introspection. Like we might call it solitude, connection to self. Or maybe, many of us growing up were kind of lonely. And so we wanted to be loved. So we decided to pursue these things so that people would be connected to us. But then by working, we're just lonelier, more and more isolated. In fact, maybe the thing we had to do the entire time was reach out and bring people in. Maybe that was the thing we were missing. And that was probably what happened with me.